Hey everyone, how's it going? One of the questions that I've been getting a lot lately from clients is why they should choose solar as opposed to the other methods of sustainable and renewable energy sources. There's a lot of reasons. They're all good for their own reasons and purposes. I'll try to cover some of the pros and cons and really kind of get behind why solar is the better choice for most people. One of the biggest factors is that the form factor and reliability of solar outweighs a lot of the other methods, so to speak. Installing solar can take a lot of space, but so would wind turbines and hydroelectric generators. However, solar has a slight edge when you consider the fact that you can mount it on your roof. And that's a really compelling argument because when you think about a roof, all it's really meant to do is to cover you from the elements and keep you sheltered. But since it's already there, you might as well take advantage of the footprint that it already has. By modifying its function, you can get your roof to generate energy. And you're not taking up any extra space, you're just taking up the existing space you're already using, but modifying its function to do more. This way, you're not cluttering your property with more things, but rather take advantage of existing systems. To effectively use wind, you'd have to erect this towering structure, and you have to try to catch consistent and optimum wind patterns. Hydroelectricity is pretty straightforward as well. You need a large body of water that's constantly moving for it to be effective. Well, if you have no water, then you're out of luck. Using wind and water both have their respective issues. For example, wind turbines kill hundreds and thousands of birds and bats annually, where damming rivers and putting in hydroelectric generators can potentially change fish populations and migration patterns, causing irreversible damage to the local ecosystem. Not to mention that both of these systems have moving parts. The more something moves, the faster the parts will wear out. That and the increased maintenance requirements for each system. Most solar manufacturers guarantee the performance of their solar panels for about 25 years. However, there are reports of people with solar panels 30 plus years out there in the wild and still working. So unless you're in a region with lots of wind and water, trying to use wind and hydro might be more of a headache than it's worth. That and the sun is predictable. You know as much as I do that if the sun sets one day, it will rise again the next day, unless you live in the Arctic Circle. Then that's a whole different story. We'll cover that another time. Each region has its own seasonal amounts of sunlight, and you can access that information online very, very easily. You quote the information, some quick calculations in a calculator, you can construct a kit to serve your needs. But what about cloudy days and nighttime? Good question. That's why batteries are part of the equation. Well, generally, batteries are always part of the equation, no matter which of the three methods you choose. It's easier to use batteries to regulate the flow of energy during inconsistent periods of time, whether it be solar, wind, or hydro. With batteries, going off-grid means that you're more conscientious of your power usage. It means that if you're not using something, you turn it off, and it especially matters when you have a hard limit, that being your batteries, of course. If we control and monitor our usage, then we can calculate our needs. Sounds simple, right? Wrong-ish. There's a few things that are beyond our control, like the needs to keep our foods fresh and healthy. A refrigerator has to be running even if we're not there to use it. We live in a society that buys in bulk because we have the means to store food instead of foraging for it daily. I mean, I'd love to keep my steak and ribs and so forth for consumption throughout the week, and I'm sure you would too. Likely sentiment for veggies lasting longer. However, a refrigerator is never truly off. It takes up a lot of energy otherwise. Which brings us to our next point, the refrigerator. Our appliances are one of the most efficient units in the market. Our largest refrigerator only uses 689 watts over a 24-hour cycle. I'll expand on this a little later, it'll make more sense. What makes our product unique is that everything is designed, manufactured, and assembled in-house. Even the compressors are our own design. This was done to make sure that the ecosystem of the appliance was designed for its function in especially the most efficient way possible. It means that we make spare parts, as crazy as that sounds, is a bit of a sticking point that we find. A lot of our competitors don't have access to spare parts because they source and assemble their parts from different places. From gasket to hinges, we have everything. So why don't I just get an inverter and a really efficient Energy Star rated refrigerator and save thousands? But would you? Let's just address the question that's on everyone's mind. Will it work? Yes. Will it work well? That's a hard maybe. Inverters work in funny ways. You lose about 15 to 25% on average with inverters. That's under their self-reported optimum performance. If you're drawing exactly within their ideal range of wattage from the inverter, then you lose their minimum. However, if you're using less than the rated optimum, well, you're not going to be so lucky. Some inverters lose less than others, some not so lucky. A standard AC refrigerator might crank up a burst of watts to get the compressor started, but then usually dies down under normal operating conditions. What that can mean on a normal inverter is bad news. It can drag some inverters down to about 80% energy lost after conversion, which is insane. Over a short time, it shouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but something that's operating 24/7 can do a number on your batteries. And since each battery type has its own thresholds, the last thing you want to do is go under your limits, and that would cause permanent damage to your batteries. They're expensive. They range between $200 to $400 per battery. Long-term exposure to this type of condition can ruin an entire battery bank and set you back thousands of dollars. It's not something that you notice right away either. It can happen over a long period of time because batteries can generally, within that first year, handle those stresses, but as damage accumulates, well, the battery bank goes. Why not propane then? Well, propane can be difficult to get and the expenses can vary quite a bit. It's hard to predict. It fluctuates depending on the market rates. Their appliances can be just as expensive and they need a constant supply of fuel, even if you're not there to really use the appliance. That and obviously propane is dangerous. It could potentially harm you and your family. In small controlled bursts where it has your immediate attention when you're using it, propane could be fine, but not for something that is unattended and for all intents and purposes should be autonomous. So that concludes our initial discussion. Thank you for following along. If you like the content, please like and subscribe. Check out some of our other content as well. You can also find out more information at www.c4pinc.com. Thank you.